What's up, everybody? Welcome to In Love with Horror. My name is AJ.
I'm Christy.
And y'all, welcome to a spoiler review for The Rule of Jenny Penn. Now, if you've seen our spoiler-free review, you already know how we feel about The Rule of Jenny Penn. You know that we're big on this film. We love this film. Think it's super dope. Go check out our spoiler-free review if you want to see the more details about why we love this film. With this spoiler review, we just want to kind of dig into the details about like crazy moments, the moments that were very emotional, the moments that really delivered the message, or that moment where we just knew like, oh yeah, this is a dope film. Like just covering all the spoilery details. So this is your spoiler warning. Again, if you haven't seen the film, you don't want to be spoiled, go watch the spoiler-free review. Also just go watch in general because it was a good conversation about, why we love this film. But with that, let's go ahead and dive into the spoilery details. We can just we don't have to walk through play by play, but we can just go over the film. So I'll start with the opening of this film because you mentioned in our spoiler free review that you liked the opening because it kind of gave you a quick glimpse at what Jeffrey Rush's character, the judge, was like in his job, but also showed you the moment where his life was forever changed. So did you want to speak to that opening where you see him basically have that stroke in the middle of delivering a verdict?
Well, yes. Well, when I was talking about before is that you can see he cares about, like you mentioned in the spoiler-free review, justice. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, the film opens with him in the middle of handing out a sentence to a serial rapist. And not only does he condemn the rapist, but he also condemns the mother.
He went in on her ass too.
Of the girls that was molested or whatever. And yeah, he does have a moment where he's like he's seeing an ant or something, I don't know. And then he does start to his word starts to get jumbled. Mm-hmm. His vision is affected. And yeah, you can clearly tell he's having a stroke.
Yep.
But yeah, I felt like that him going in on her like that made me feel like, okay, he obviously cares about delivering justice, which comes into play, when he's in this home.
Right. And realizes
he sees that this man is abusing these residents.
Dude's name Dave Creeley is just going ham in the elderly home and just fucking with everybody, doing crazy shit, abusing people.
Yeah. So he does have a stroke and he's put in a home. Now he's planning to recover so he can leave this home. But as the movie goes on, you kind of see that his recovery really isn't going as well as he thinks, and us. Because there's a moment in there later on where he's drawing the face of a clock and he sees all the numbers there. But when he shows the doctor, it's literally coming off
completely
the clock.
Lopsided.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought that was super cool because up until that point, we're thinking, he is getting better and everything he's saying or thinking makes sense. But in reality, it's a little screwed up.
Right. Yeah. Which is, when they show the little moments where he loses time and stuff like that. And I mean, John Lithgow's character, Dave Creeley, he even says it to him at one point. He's like, oh, you see him right there? He's like, that's exactly how you're going to end up because I've seen it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Because, as we learned in the film, this motherfucker's he was working there since basically his whole life and then became a resident.
Yeah. So the judge does, he's observing, right? Observing how the residents react to, what's his name? Dave?
Dave.
Dave. And then obviously how he acts towards the residents and even just the way he moves around the place in general. He knows his way around. He has keys to doors he shouldn't have keys to, all that stuff. But yeah, he sees pictures of this guy all the way back to 1968, where he was maybe a maintenance person or a groundskeeper or something, where he was working all these years and now he's a resident there.
Yep.
Super crazy.
Yeah, that was super cool. It almost had this the Shining moment to it, where you're looking at the picture, you're like, damn, how long this person been here?
Right, exactly.
I thought it was about to get weird, but no, it was just, it didn't get weird. It was just, hey, he worked there and now he's terrorizing the people after having worked there.
Yeah.
But I also feel like that gave some context clues to like he's probably mistreating them people while he was working
Well,
there.
he probably was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably was. So when he does all this stuff, because obviously these are older people, so he's able to easily like murder them and get away with it. Like he murders this lady.
He just cold blooded.
Yep. Now I really like that scene, and you like that one, I think too, because when he leads her outside because she clearly has Alzheimer's. She thinks it's Christmas time
at all times. Yep.
And and she's always looking for her family. She's like waiting for her family to come get her for Christmas.
Yep.
And so he tells her, "Oh, your family's outside." Like leads her outside
to the wilderness.
Into the wilderness.
Yep.
And at one point they're like fighting over his key card.
Yep.
So all the residents have a key card to access their like rooms and stuff like that. And she takes his card and she's like, "Mine." But he takes it back, and then she takes it again. But this time when he takes the card, it's actually her card.
Yep.
But he doesn't realize it right then. So he sends her out into the daggone darkness and tells her, "Keep going straight. You know, your family's right up there."
Yep.
He goes about his business, gets all the way back to his room, tries to use the key card, and realizes that it's not his, it's hers. So now his old ass got to run back outside to try to get
his key card
back. Now, by the time he gets out there, she's dead.
Yep.
She like drowned in like a little puddle thing outside, and he gets the key card back, replaces hers, and then goes back inside the resident hall. But yeah, he's basically been, killing people and stuff, abusing them and killing them. At first, I thought it was just abuse, but then obviously he was also murdering people, and then like laughing and having a good time the next day as if he didn't do it.
Nothing happened.
Super crazy.
Now, one thing I was trying to figure out is he was using this puppet, as like almost like a conduit of his evil nature. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to assume, because remember, Jeffrey Rush's character got handed that pamphlet like about using puppets. So I'm going to assume that he went through that same program, and then instead of using it to like, I guess, make him better, he just channeled his evil shit through the puppet.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was supposed to be in that program or not, because the lady kept trying to take his puppet.
Oh, true.
So I don't know if he took someone else's puppet or what.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was trying to figure that piece out. And then there was another piece that was shown in the film that was kind of like highlighted, but I couldn't fully like analyze it to figure out. But he looks at that picture, he looks at the back, and it's like something sick leave 1970 something. Was that supposed to indicate something?
I don't know. You're right. Yeah, it seemed weird. I'm gonna have to think on that one. Yeah,
it's like when he looked at it, he was kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't know what that was trying to say. Maybe somebody who's listening might know what that particular scene was trying to say.
Really
Look at that photo, but I couldn't tell what that was getting at. But yeah, he was like a super psychopath. I feel like it was even more confirmed, even beyond just him doing all that crazy shit, when Jeffrey Rush went into his room.
Oh yeah,
and saw how like clean and tidy,
super clean,
super minimal,
perfect
bed, making all the drawers in his dresser was lined up perfectly. His dolls were lined up at the bottom as well. But I love the way that Jeffrey Rush character like played that whole thing. Because remember, it was funny because when he came back and he had found the wallet that he tried to plant. Yeah. And
but he made it so that he did it on purpose for him to find it.
Yep.
So he because his room was meticulously clean, he put like dirt from the plant.
Yep.
And that is how he realized that something was back there and someone had been in his room.
But that wasn't the real play, because he ended up emptying all his inhalers out.
Yeah.
And that was the real play. That was just a super dope moment.
It was good because he came in the room thinking he had one up on him. Like, oh, I know you've been in my room. I know you tried to plant this ID or this card in my room. And he starts dancing. And giving us, but the good part about that was that we kind of got an understanding of where this whole Jenny Penn thing came from. So it's from a record. Song.
Yep.
And yeah, he basically dances himself into a freaking asthma attack. And that's when he realizes that he had emptied out all of his inhalers, because he emptied out when he had. Then he runs back to his room to try to get all the other ones that he had.
All of them.
And he had emptied out every single last one of them.
Yep.
And he had a full-on asthma attack. But I was thinking he was out after this.
Oh, yeah, nah.
And it was funny because the next
came
day,
back with a vengeance.
The next day, like the old people were enjoying their food. It was nice and calm. Because what this guy did, he would do was like take their food, eat their food.
Yep.
He would like push them.
Yep.
Like, it was just ridiculous, the stuff that he was doing to these old people.
Yeah, they couldn't even have a dance party without him ruining it.
Without him ruining the dance party. Like, he just gave no F's. He was just like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did come back with a vengeance.
Came back with a vengeance on him.
Now, like, kind of pointing out, going back, what's Jeffrey Rush's character's name? The judge.
Judge Mortensen. I think it's
the judge has a roommate.
Yeah, Mortensen.
Who used to be a rugby player. And now this film was set in New Zealand. I have no idea what the ethnicity is of those people.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you.
Anyways, he used to play rugby, and he was a pretty famous one, because like the current team came to visit him.
Yep.
And, wanted to learn from him and get some insight into like what it was like for him back when he was playing rugby. And he was being really abused by.
Yeah, he was getting jacked up bad.
Dave.
Yep.
It was so hard to watch at times.
Yeah.
Like, he was like yanking on his
catheter. That scene was super nerve-wracking.
He was taking the doll and like grabbing his like private
growing
areas.
and like just going ham on it.
It was so
terrible. Fucked up. Yeah, it was so fucked up.
And so Dave had this thing with the doll where he would go, "Who rules?"
Yep.
And he would bend the doll over to where
and lift it like it's lifting up a dress,
like his and
wrist.
just like licked his asshole,
and
made them lick it.
It was so crazy.
It was ridiculous.
That shit was super over the top.
And so, like, the guy, his roommate, would do it because that's kind of like them complying and accepting his behavior. Whereas the judge was like, "I'm not doing that shit.
Yep.
I'm not about that."
I was actually shocked by that when he was about to pull his catheter, and the judge was still like, "I ain't saying that shit, bro. Like, I ain't doing it."
Yeah. Yep. So it took a long time for the roommate to just kind of like, "I'm done with this shit," but seeing the judge kind of like come back after something bad happens. And I'll touch on that in a second. And that kind of like gave him the encouragement to just go ahead and just like, I'm done with this guy. And he does like his little
he should do like the haka thing.
Dance, like his warrior call. And it was so freaking sad
because his hip was fucked up.
His legs was all jacked up and he was clearly in pain, but he was letting him know, "I'm coming for your ass."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, you didn't fully break me."
Yeah, you didn't. I love that.
But that moment, there was a moment in the beginning. Oh, it was after that scene, I think, when the judge wouldn't say who rules. And John Lithgow's character, Dave, was like basically saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna break you." And it actually made me think about From, when the creatures in From were telling I can't think of Harold Boyd.
Yeah.
That
he was gonna break him.
We gonna break you.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Dave broke that judge down, boy. Good God.
Yeah, eventually he did break him down. So what ended up happening was, after he did the little asthma attack thing, he comes back and he locks the judge in a room with, there's this other guy who's blind. And he has, I think it's his wife or the woman he with inside the home. I don't know if they're actually married or not. He locks them all inside of this room, and he basically sets him up to make it seem like he did something really crazy. So he threw him on the floor, and he was like talking to because this woman, she probably had dementia as well, because she was thinking he was somebody else. He was calling him another name. And the blind guy, he couldn't do anything because he's blind and he's in a wheelchair. And he basically started to assault the older woman by taking off her top.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she was obviously distraught. And the judge, he knew he was going to try to help her. And so he hit him with his cane. And so by the time he does that, the workers come in.
Yep.
It makes it look as though it was the judge who was the assailant and not Dave. So after that, he ends up in like this hospital room, or just a room that they put him in, separate from like his roommate or whatever. And he's in there. Dave is in there with his little doll,
talking to him.
And at this point, he's just basically like, "Look, you gotta get in line." Because it's gonna get worse. Because he was like beating on his legs, like he was really taking brutal. This man through it.
That was a brutal part.
It was so brutal. Like I was even like, he gonna break this man's leg.
Yep.
And he ends up making him lick the asshole.
Yep, and he did it.
He did.
He had no choice.
And he cried as he did it. A tear fell down.
Because that's when he realized, like, damn, this dude actually broke me.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. You know, it was another sad scene too. Was when he taking that bath, and that was super suspenseful. When he taking that bath and he like slid into the tub. That was another super suspenseful.
Yeah, it was because too. He went down in the tub where it seemed like he might want to like let go, but then he grips the side to come back up. But because he's had this stroke and his arm is no longer like functional, he couldn't get back up.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
I like the way that scene was shot, but that was super.
The director shoots it not up to where you can see him, but down low on the side of the tub where you can't see anything but his hand and like him struggling to try to get up.
Yep.
Yeah, it was shot really good.
Yeah, that was super dope.
But luckily, the nurse came back in just in time and saved his life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this movie was crazy. It's nothing at all like I expected it to be whatsoever. Right. And then we get to this point where, because when he broke him, or it seemed like he broke him, it goes black after that, to the point where I thought, oh, damn, like, that's it.
That's how it was ending. Like,
I thought that he was
with him losing.
That he lost. Yeah. And then this guy gonna keep ruling the damn nursing home.
Yep.
But it does come back.
Yep.
And this is when his roommate did the war cry.
Yep.
And that was kind of like a signal to him, like, oh, I'm gonna get your ass.
Yeah.
You have hurt us for the last time. And I think he knew it, that he wanted to, because of the way he reacts after he does the war cry.
Because it took, Jeffrey Rush's character, the judge, to be broken for the roommate to be like, to finally be like, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Because he broke somebody
that was really strong.
That was very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then it was when that moment was like, okay, now I got to be the one to like take the charge. You know what I'm saying? That was a signal.
It was.
And they was able to team up.
They teamed up
and suffocate this dude.
And they suffocated him in the washroom. And it was crazy, because at first I was like, oh God, they're not gonna kill this man. But they did. Yep. They managed it.
They managed to do it.
They managed to do it. And then they burned Jenny
that damn dog. They burned Jenny Penn. They burned that dog. And it was cool because, it looked like everyone was having a good time now.
Yeah.
Like he was playing whatever was that, backgammon or whatever it's called.
They were playing games.
Yeah.
Even everyone
the whole vibe
was just completely
different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I do have a question. Let's go back to the beginning when he first gets to the home and he meets that one guy who catches on fire. Like, I felt like there was gonna be some kind of significance to that, but it almost feels like it doesn't. It was, to me, it was just more like a shocking incident.
Yeah, I think that was just like a shocking incident. I think maybe just setting the tone for how crazy it was gonna get there.
Yeah, because in the beginning, when he first gets there, he like rolls outside and there's some dude there already like smoking a cigarette and drinking. It was disgusting, first of all.
Yeah, he was coughing a lot.
He was making the most disgusting sounds. And I was just like, oh, this is so gross. But yeah, he's drinking, smoking. And when Jeffrey Rush, right, the judge rolls away, he drops his cigarette. And then the guy just gets lit on fire. Yep. He burns fully lit on alive. Fire. And, the judge is screaming, help, help, help. Yep. And then, you know what? That might have also been just an indication of just how trash these care workers were.
Yeah,
because these hoes was never around for nothing.
Yeah, they were never there.
Never around. And like even when Dave, slipped that old woman outside and he comes back in, they're off on the side of the building, kikiing it up. You know what I'm saying? Off the little smoking area or whatever.
They didn't even notice him, and he walked right by.
They didn't even notice him. Even when they were working at the front desk, the woman and the guy, and Dave comes up and they're like, "Oh, go back to bed." Like, you need to make sure this dude gets back to bed. Like, he literally pretends like he's on the elevator and they don't know no difference because they walk right off. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Those workers were trash. But that could have been like what that was about, because they weren't there. This man literally burned himself alive and he's literally calling for help and there's no one there to help him. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, those care workers were crap.
Yeah, and then I mean they were never really listening very good to what he was trying to tell them about what was going on.
Right. Even the main resident, whomever, because what happens is Dave, he like one time he like threw his urinal stuff on him and they assumed that he had an accident. And then he's like, I'm telling them what happened, and they're not believing what he's saying.
Yep. Like, it didn't help that his roommate was just so scared of Dave's character that
everybody was scared.
He didn't, they
didn't want to lick the asshole.
Right. Yeah. But I knew that that Dave was crazy when he first appeared in his room, and the roommate was looking like super big eyed, and he looks in the corner and he sees him sitting there. Yeah. That's when I knew, like, oh, this dude is terrorizing this,
He
this
definitely
roommate.
did. It was crazy. It was funny because like there was one point when he was like, grabbing his roommate's groin and stuff like that. And the judge is jamming the call button. And then he realized after he leaves that this nigga had unplugged it. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy. This movie was crazy.
Yeah. But man, they killed it with their performances. They just went super crazy. Like just all the things that John Lithgow's character was doing was just like super crazy to the point where it was so over the top. Sometimes it was almost funny.
Yeah, sometimes
even through some of the tragic stuff.
Sometimes I was just like, ugh, I can't watch.
Well, this. But yeah, because they were just getting super.
It's like
crazy
watching Speak No Evil, but with old people.
Yeah, it's like that kind of crazy. Yep, it is like that kind of crazy.
Yeah, but this was better to me. Even though I don't like I told AJ and what I said in the spoiler-free review is like I feel like it should have been a little bit less abuse, and I also didn't like the scene with the old woman being like almost S8. I didn't like that.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that was just to drive home the point of, go check on your elderly family members that might be in homes, and to really showcase like, hey, this is the kind of stuff that's actually like happening at these places. And they never took it like too far. Like they it was bad, but they never like went like super crazy. I think they showed enough to be like, hey, like this is the type of shit that could happen. But yeah, overall, I thought the movie was super dope. I thought it was really good. Like I said in the spoiler-free review, I couldn't really think of anything that was wrong. I think the only thing I said on there was like the pacing. It fell off a little bit in the middle there, but then it picked back up. But yeah, like this movie was just crazy. And then, to see all the different elderly stories, they would show like the background residents and give you brief glimpses into what, who they are and what they are. Like there was that woman who kept like was just staring at the window all the time.
Yeah.
Like so it was like super sad, to see all these old people like just kind of like lost and like almost like just have lost their sense of self completely. You're just like, damn, like.
Well, I think it's kind of like what they say here in this description, right? Like they're trapped in their own bodies, and then they're also trapped in this home as well. Yep. Like they have nowhere to go, and a lot of times they're not even aware. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and being taken advantage of, and all those things. But yeah. But this film, James Ashcroft, the crew, the actors and actresses, like it was just an incredible film. I was pleasantly surprised by how good this film is. And just like I said in the spoiler-free review, if you're watching this and you haven't seen the film, definitely go check out the film. Go support this in theaters. I think it definitely deserves it. And I'm looking forward to see what else James Ashcroft does. We weren't familiar with his prior work. He did a lot of shorts. I think a little bit of TV.
Mhm.
Looks like he might have had one feature before. We read the description. It sounded interesting. So now I'm like, okay, let me go check that out. But I'd love to see what else James Ashcroft has in store, because this Rule of Jenny Penn, I have a strong feeling that it's going to end up being on the top of a lot of people's lists and sort of like within their top 10. Obviously, we haven't seen enough films this year. We're still in the beginning of the year, but I can foresee this being at least in a lot of people's top 10, because I feel like it's just that good. And you gave it a 4, I give it a 4.5 in our spoiler-free review, and that's out of 5. We do our ratings out of 5, but overall super dope. Any last things you want to add to it?
That's it.
All right, y'all. Well, that is our spoiler review for The Rule of Jenny Penn. Let us know if you want us to do the spoiler reviews for more films. We're going to test it out, try to bring it back to see if that's something people are interested in. Because a lot of times, like, so much crazy shit happens in these films that I'm sure y'all want to hear what we think about it. Because I know I'll be wanting to hear what other people think about things that are happening in these films. So we'll try to do more of these if y'all want to see more of these, especially for a lot of the big horror films that are coming out this year. But this was a special one. We felt like it was just crazy enough that we had to do a spoiler discussion for a spoiler review. But if you watched to the end, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Let us know in the comments, what were your favorite moments for this film? What do you think were the most emotional, the most impactful? Why do you think Dave was crazy as hell? Why do you think he was doing what he did? Why do you think he was using the puppet Jenny Penn to be the conduit of all his evil? You know what I'm saying? And what do you think that photo means? Where he looked in the back, said sick leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think that all implied? Let us know all of your thoughts and theories and all that stuff down in the comments below. And look, check out the rest of our channel. If this is your first time, coming to our channel, we do reactions, we do reviews. So let us know if there's a film we haven't reviewed yet that came out this year. Let us know if you want us to review it. For any movie reactions, let us know what type of reactions what type of movies you might want us to react to. We've done Azrael, we've done Blink Twice. Those are some really good ones that we did last year. So we want to kind of start building a list for this year. But look, thank y'all so much for tuning into this video. We love y'all. We can see you next one. We out. Peace.